Living Adaptive.
The goal is to adapt and thrive despite the adversity you face.
You're going to have that little voice inside of you trying to push yourself.
I set a vision for myself, and now I'm seeing it come to fruition.
I'm grateful for losing my leg.
There's just some things you must endure in life.
You might crash. You might fail.
You can find a purpose in your suffering.
I'm not special. I've just decided that I'm not going to stop.
You do everything you possibly can.
We want to change the world.
I'm going to adapt to it and make it the way it works for me.
Take what it is from life that you want and enjoy it.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is Scott Davidson, and this is Living Adaptive. And in case you don't know, go to livingadaptive.com for previous guests with show notes on previous episodes, vlog episodes, all kinds of good content. Just go there. Today we got on Jeff Soelberg. Jeff Soelberg is a personal friend, and Jeff is doing something pretty incredible. It's one of the things, probably one of the best stories I've heard in a long time coming out of the adaptive community. And we're going to talk to Jeff about it because we're 13 days out from what he's planning to do. Today is March 26th, 2020, and we're right in the middle of the coronavirus. So like if you're watching this later in time, you'll understand the context of it, of why this is such a wild situation, everything going down. But first, Jeff, introduce yourself real quickly if you can, and what you do, man. What's your adaptive story?
So my name's Jeff Soelberg. I live just north of Salt Lake City, Utah. I am 57 years old, and on July 6, 2016, I was machining a shaft at work, and my glove got caught, and it pulled my hand into the lathe, and I am a 3-finger partial hand amputee with a lot of damage.
Yeah, the damage goes up the chain, right?
Yes, it does. I got scars all the way up my hand, arm. I've to date had 7 surgeries.
You're the founder and you run currently Jeff Giving a Hand. What's the goal there?
Jeff Giving a Hand is a foundation, 501c3, to help build the adaptive community. There are many foundations out there. They're all great. The whole foundation of Jeff Giving a Hand is the everyday individual. You have large foundations that help people become athletes. Well, Jeff Giving a Hand is the one that's helping to get people off the couch, because in the real life of amputation, the largest slice of the pie is a lower amputee, medical amputation, diabetes, and those are all reversible.
Yeah, and I've seen you make a lot of impacts in that realm personally. I've seen you gather a lot of groups, bring people together, bridge that gap, especially up in the Wasatch Front where you are in the Western U.S. So it's pretty remarkable to see where everything's going. But you got something bigger, way beyond anything I've seen in the adaptive realm. I don't even know how to approach this. I've known about it for a long time. I don't know all the details, but I know some of them. And it's time we kind of share what's going on out there. What is your, what are you heading off to do, man? What in the future, you plan to do something pretty big. What is it that you plan to do, and why are you doing it?
On April 8th, as long as the coronavirus does not kill us all off, I am donating one of my kidneys to another adaptive individual out of state. I've been friends with this individual basically shortly after my accident. We met and stuff, and we've been doing CrossFit competitions and such. And this individual has been dealt a lot of bad cards through her life. I will say it's a girl, lady. And I learned of her situation last summer, and I thought about it and stuff. And then a plea came out that she was in dire need of a kidney last October. And I just went online and filled out an application and started in November testing, a lot of questions and stuff. And then come January, I flew down there to the transplant hospital and went through 2 days of testing, questions, everything from psychological, because you're giving up a body part. And I went through giving up part of my fingers through one of my surgeries. And it's a very emotional thing. And again, a lot of testing, heart stress testing, kidney testing, and it's all about life. Life is too short. The fact of the largest group being diabetics, and it's all reversible. I'm just trying to help any way I can, any small way.
It's it's one of the most remarkable stories I hear coming out of the adaptive scene right now, because it's the adaptive helping the adaptive. We talk about this a lot in our community behind the scenes, as being a support to one another, bridging and finding, some way to have commonality, or maybe not even commonality, but a way of like, we need to build up and empower the tribe. And this time you're not just empowering the tribe, you're literally giving a piece of your body. And I've known about this probably November, right? Somewhere November, December, that this was going on, and you've kept it really tight because there's so many complications that could occur going into this. What's your biggest fears?
Right now, my heart is bleeding for the recipient. Talking with the transplant hospital on Tuesday. So let's go back a step. The coronavirus is going around and everything, and they've put all elective surgeries on hold.
Yeah.
Well, a couple weeks ago when it first hit, I asked the transplant hospital, so is this elective or what? And they said, no, this is a life critical surgery. It will go ahead on that date, barring one of us being too sick to do it. Mm-hmm. Tuesday, in talking to the transplant hospital, they informed me I have to take someone with me down there to watch me. I'll be in the hospital, they anticipate, overnight. Then I get released, but I have to stay in town for another week before they'll release me to travel home. I have to take an individual with me. Well, as of now, that individual drops me off at the door to the hospital. I walk into the hospital, have the surgery, spend the night, and they called the person to come pick me up the next day, and I leave. Well, my recipient, she's going to be in ICU for a while, then several weeks in the hospital. Same goes with her. No family. Yeah. She is going to be there. Granted, the blessing of the healthcare support, nurses, doctors down there, but still the loneliness of being one, that pulls on my heartstrings big right now.
Yeah, it's a big one. When I learned that there's going to be no support in the hospital, that's a really tough one, because a lot of us wanted to see if we could come down, be part, like tell a story as much as we could, because it's a remarkable story, those that surround you. And now we're at a point where there's travel restrictions. You're going in this, like you're going in this alone in so many ways, and that's got to freak you out. But then also, man, she's going into this alone, and this is surgery. Both of you guys have had a ton of surgeries. I know the story about her, and it's been extensive surgeries, and it's to see the fortitude, to see the ability to keep pushing forward is pretty amazing, but it's also pretty tough to swallow what's going on with this whole situation for everybody that's surrounding it. So, man, we're all worried about it. That's one thing we can't take lightly, is like we have a lot of lighthearted interviews and stuff, but this would be one of the more serious ones, because this is where we're actually going to see one of our brothers and sisters go into surgery, and a life is on the line. 2 lives are on the line right now. So everybody's worried about it, and we just hope everything goes well. We're sending positive energy. This whole process, you talked about how she'll be in the ICU and you're going to be in surgery. The organ will be removed, transplanted into her, and then you'll be there for a day afterwards. And then you have to stay in the region that she's in and be watched over by medical practitioners, right? What happens?
Yeah, I will have my support person watching me as long as no issues arise with me. After a week, I go back in, doctor checks me, gives me the okay to travel, and I come home, and I'll be home recovering for 6-8 weeks after.
And recovery, what's that going to entail? Like no movement, no walking for a while?
Well, walking's going to become my biggest friend, because it's going to be no lifting, running, jumping. Well, I can get into running, but the lifting is zero. Basically, I am basically giving birth to a kidney through a C-section. That's what the surgery entails.
Wow. I did remember you making that equation, if you will. The surgery equals a cesarean. And I've been around, 3 of my kids are cesarean babies, so I can't imagine how painful that is going to be. It's going to be a remarkable pain. You've had a ton of surgeries. You've had a lot of things go down over the last few years, but you're still super physically active. You've been on ESPN 2 years in a row competing in Spartan Race, which is not the lightest of competitions. You've been part of Red Bull 400, which is behind you on a wall, wheel wad games in different levels, Warhorse games, Ragnar, all kinds of stuff everywhere, man. So like, I know that losing your ability to go out there and do stuff is going to be big. But then I want to say this. One thing I've noticed is that when I interview you, you always point back to the person you're donating your organ to, and how she is going to have such a rough time. You haven't really focused much about you in this. And so we're trying to tell your story here. And when she feels comfortable, we're going to add her to the story, and we'll start to line up what a cool event this happens. And we just hope for the best here.
Yes. The biggest thing I ask right now of everybody out there, I don't care what your higher power is, God, whoever, reach out to them and ask for the support to make sure that this goes through without a hitch.
Yeah. Yep. And we will. I think the community, by the time this airs, everything will be done. The full thing here, everything will be done. However it played out. If coronavirus cancels it or some health complications lining up, don't make it happen. Whatever happens is going to already be played out before this airs. A clip of it will be shared in social media, but this will all come together as a big story. And we do hope that like others that are watching, man, I mean, this whole idea of like, you can give an organ and save a life is super important right now. So I hope that the impact's there. I hope it's also just, an impact of like, there's so much love out there, and like being able to show that in this display, because it's got to be so tense right now. And I know there's fears on the side of your family worried about, dad going in there and doing this. And so, the tension is really high in a different way. It's not competition now. It's more like, we got to go get this done. And so you're like that lamb walking down that aisle and getting ready to get cut open. So let's hope that everything goes well.
Yeah. You know, the most important thing in life is lives, whether it be an individual that's suffering from depression, whatever. And that's why I am doing this, to save a life. You know, I've learned a lot on this journey. The fact that on the average person, your kidneys are capable of doing 4 times what they normally do. That's why you can give up a kidney. And also, after you give up a kidney, the residual kidney grows larger to take up some of that loss.
And also with the donation of an organ, you go to the top of the list if you ever need that organ back.
Yes, that is something I learned back in January. It didn't have any effect on my decision. I didn't know about it till after.
It was freaking me out more. If you want the truth, that makes me scared more. Like, what if I do need it? Like, it makes it worse. It didn't make it better for me.
It made it a little bit better
for you, maybe.
For me, well, it's crazy because I've been talking to a lot of individuals that have made the donations and stuff, and the individuals that do it, and not everyone is up for it, but the individuals that do it, there's no hesitation. It's in their DNA, and okay, let's do this and get it done.
It's amazing.
Yes. Right now, we got one hell of a curveball being thrown at us with this coronavirus, but yeah, let's get it done.
Yeah, I don't think what is this, once in a century type of deal? So what a storm, man. But we're going to check in with you. We're going to check in with you a week out, at least a week out, then right before, try to get your thought process and capture
and
this.
For whatever means I'm capable of, I will have all my social media stuff close enough, depending upon drugs and such. You might get some good shows there.
Yeah, I want to see a lot of live sessions day 2.
I cannot be held accountable for anything.
Yeah, we're going live day 1 of being outside of the ICU, or just live session us in there. Why not? I mean, we capture everything else. I mean, we're an oddity to the world anyways. Why not just screw it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Life's too short.
Yeah.
Sweat the small stuff. Live life to the fullest. And that is the whole thing that I try to show everybody, and in showing the kidney donation. It doesn't matter your age, your ability. Take one step further each day, get stronger. You can turn your life around. I smoked for 20-something years.
In Utah, too.
Yes. You just take and give up the bad stuff and take a step further each day.
It's a beautiful message. So we'll check back in, man. We'll log this thing. Let's see what happens. And we'll be thinking about you, and the communities out there will show the support. Thanks, Jeff, for being here. Jeff Soelberg, Jeff Giving a Hand. This is March 26, 2020, 13 days out from scheduled surgery.
Thank you, Scott.
Remember, go to livingadaptive.com to find previous episodes, show notes, contacts for guests like this guest, links to social media accounts, and a bunch of other good stuff. So go there. Peace.